Up on First Local, becoming a Canadian. And checking out the wheels at the auto show. Hi, I'm Allison Ansley with the weekend edition of First Local. Ambulance response times are not what they should be, and too often paramedics are tied up at hospitals waiting for a bed. But as First Local's John Gilbert reports, a task force has been set up to avert a potential crisis.
Traffic gridlock is only one of many challenges facing EMS workers in Peel. The average response time here is just over 11 minutes. Compare that to Hamilton's response time of 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's evident that something must be done.
Lengthy response times, there's a number of factors that impact response time. First is the demand on the system. Here in Peel, we have a very high emergency call volume. Our paramedics are very professional and respond to a number of emergency calls during their shift.
Response times are a large problem, but not the only problem. When the ambulance arrives at the hospital, transferring the patient off of the stretcher is a whole other issue.
When there is no bed available for the paramedics are then put into a queue and await an open bed.
Starting when a patient is picked up by ambulance, the average time before that ambulance becomes available again is 85 minutes. That's 35 minutes longer than in York. But Dundas says they're working on it.
I've been asked by the Minister of Health to participate in a hospital and ambulance effectiveness working group to develop recommendations to address the offload issues.
We'll know more when the working group reports to Health Minister George Smitherman by the end of March. In Mississauga, I'm John Gilbert for First Local.
The City of Mississauga has a new bylaw designed to discourage drivers from abusing provincial parking permits that are meant for the disabled. First Local's Victor Schultz has details.
Disabled parking permit holders in Peel Region might see some more of these in the near future.
Formerly, under the City of Mississauga traffic bylaw, there was an exemption for individuals who held a valid provincial disabled persons parking permit, and it enabled them to park in excess of 3 hours on residential streets in Mississauga. There's been a recent amendment and change to the bylaw, which will now require that those people wanting an exemption must apply for and be approved for a City of Mississauga permit.
Residents of Mississauga need to call the Office of Parking Control to apply for the new electronic permit. But provincial parking permit holders in the rest of the Peel region are out of luck. If they know they need to park on a local road in Mississauga for more than 3 hours, they need to call Parking Control in advance to ask for special consideration. And the seniors we talked to at the Knightsbridge Senior Centre in Brampton weren't too happy.
For a start, I think it's very unfair because you have to phone. Sometimes you're on the phone for ages before you reach anybody.
The new bylaw took effect on Valentine's Day. So if you need a permit, be sure to contact Parking Control if you want to avoid one of these. For First Local, this is Victor Schultz.
On the 40th birthday of the Canadian flag this week, a proud group of immigrants celebrated becoming Canadian citizens. First Local's Crystal McCloy-Lovett was there.
Hundreds gathered here at John Paul II Polish-Canadian Cultural Centre to be sworn in as Canadian citizens, and they have a lot to celebrate.
Today's ceremony is extra special here in Mississauga because we're not only celebrating Flag Day, the 300 new Canadians becoming Canadian here in Mississauga, but also the partnership between Citizenship and Immigration and the Dufferin-Peel Board of Education partnership.
A partnership between the two companies started 10 years ago when it was decided newcomers to Canada could take classes to help with the citizenship test.
We came with the idea to give special classes so the people who want to become a citizen, they can come to preparation classes, which makes them easier to pass the citizenship test required by the Ministry of Citizenship.
It's a proud moment.
We are also very happy, and we are thanks to the Canadian government that they give us a chance, and we come in Canada for better education and prosperity, and we are here, and we are very proud now.
It feels a great pleasure to be a Canadian citizen, and it was my great dream to be in the country and to have all the rights which other peoples are enjoying.
For more information on Canadian citizenship preparation classes, you can call Yolanda Kirk at 905-270-5074. In Mississauga, for First Local, I'm Crystal McCloy-Lovett.
There's much more to come on First Local. Please stay with us.
And now, the Flanagan Report with Ted Flanagan.
A sure sign of spring is the auto show. Auto and parts makers continue to invest heavily in their companies to improve product offerings and expand their markets worldwide. Perhaps you should consider investing in the companies that build your favorite automobile. Brampton is home to 23% of Ontario's automotive workforce. In 2004 alone, Daimler Chrysler invested $1.4 billion in their 3 million square foot plant. Ford's part distribution center, Aston Martin, Jaguar and Land Rover Canada's head office, and branches of Nissan, Magna, Massive, and ABB call Brampton home. Mississauga hosts 200 automotive production and distribution companies, including Canadian head offices of Hino, Subaru, Nissan, Kia, and Mitsubishi. You can invest in publicly traded car manufacturers like the big three European or Asian builders, invest in parts producers like Magna, who also build whole vehicles under contract, or a company like ABB that builds the robots that builds the cars. You may spend $20,000 or $40,000 or more on a new car. Why not invest the same amount in the manufacturer? To get started, when you buy your next car, consider a 2-year off lease or a less expensive model and take the difference that you would have spent and invest it in the stock of the company that you're buying the vehicle from. The dividends may help you pay for the car, and you may develop a portfolio over time that will buy a car in your future. You can invest in a company that supports your community, whose products you enjoy. Spring investments in time for the March 1st RSP deadline. If you have any questions, contact me at the Flanagan Report.
To contact Ted Flanagan at the Flanagan Report, email your question or comment to First Local Peel at rci.rogers.com or contact our viewer response line at 905-897-3994.
Welcome back. You're watching First Local. Even the police can use a little help sometimes. First Local's Annika Ramchandani explains.
Quick march!
Have you ever considered a job in law enforcement, but didn't know where to start? The Peel Police Auxiliary Program offers training and valuable experience.
But it's been great. Like, we're learning a lot on different situations that'll happen out there.
I was actually amazed at how in-depth it is. It's fantastic. It's been a great experience.
Sometimes joining is the hardest part. The screening process can be rigorous and time-consuming.
It's very similar to that of recruiting bureau. Auxiliary officers do wear a uniform very similar to that of a police officer. So it's critical that we screen them appropriately and make sure that Only those that meet the criteria do wear the uniform.
The program allows interested volunteers to consider pursuing a career in the field of law enforcement by teaching them both the practical and the theoretical knowledge required.
It's opened my eyes to this career, and I'm thinking of pursuing it now.
Just to help out the community and just help out the officers and to see if this is the career that I do want.
Volunteers are assigned tasks and given several opportunities to work together with the Peel force to gain experience.
Well, auxiliary officers have 4 main requirements for auxiliary policing. The most important to us is obviously emergency callouts.
The teamwork approach encourages the volunteers to support one another.
It's been long, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and that we made it as a whole team.
Members of the police force appreciate the hard work put in by the auxiliary officers.
We are glad they are here. We need them to help us deliver our mandate to the public in the region of Peel, and we just have great admiration for their dedication and their support to public service. We really appreciate their service.
20% of the Auxiliary Bureau move on to pursue a career in the field of policing. The other 80% see this as a unique way of giving back to the community. If you are interested in joining the auxiliary program, log on to www.peelpolice.on.ca. In Mississauga, Amanika Ramchandani for First Local.
Cars are the #1 contributor to our smog problem, so community leaders have come up with some creative ways to reduce emissions. First Local's Barb McDonald explains.
There was a time when it wasn't out of the ordinary to see a hitchhiker trying to make his way from point A to B. But today, no one wants to share a ride with anyone, and that has our government, environmentalists, and business leaders concerned about ever-increasing gridlock and greenhouse emissions.
Well, right now in Peel, based on our latest survey, about 80% of people drive to work.
As you pull out of your driveway each morning, the Region of Peel's Transportation Planning Department is working diligently with the GTA to find a way to get you out of your car and into someone else's.
Almost 90% of those people that drive are single occupant vehicles. So you can say the majority of people who drive are driving alone.
The government hopes that by engaging the private sector, they can get some of the cars off the road.
Well, different companies have different motivation. For example, some of the offices buildings in central Mississauga, they have parking problem. They cannot provide adequate enough parking for all the tenants. So they can see it's a big plus if they can get somebody to carpool and reduce the demand for parking spot.
Some of the ideas proposed include van pools, subsidized transit fees, and working from home. But the leading idea is to encourage Company A to create a joint ride-sharing program with its neighbor, Company B.
We have a GTA-wide ride matching service, so people can dial a 1-800 number or go to the website to type in their own personal information and then find possible carpool partners that they can carpool with.
One of the 25 businesses potentially partnering with the region is the University of Toronto's Mississauga campus. 2 years ago, they launched their own ride-sharing program for students and faculty when they realized that their numbers were going to double from 6,000 to 12,000 by the year 2007.
We found that it's really successful for them because not only do they get to split the cost of the permit, but they get a preferential parking spot, so that's really attractive. They don't have to worry about scrambling to find a spot, and they also get the ones closest to the building.
And for those convinced that carpooling is inconvenient, take note that there is a guaranteed ride-home program should your carpool partner be called away to an emergency. And the pros of carpooling don't end there.
The main benefit that I would say would be financial. I mean, you're saving money on gas, wear and tear in your car. There's huge stress benefits. If you're driving in with someone else, you get to chit-chat on the way. At the same time, you're going to be saving on the stress of driving.
The region believes that businesses in Brampton and Mississauga will enjoy the same success as the university when the Smart Commute Initiative is implemented this fall.
Well, the Smart Commute Initiative is fantastic because it's linking a number of groups together that are in the region of Peel. We're partnering now with the Mississauga Board of Trade, the champion of the Transportation Management Association for Peel. So it's a great networking opportunity to work together towards a common goal of more environmentally responsible transportation.
The government is on board and businesses are listening. The big question is, are people willing to change their driving behavior? For First Local, I'm Barb McDonald.
Local entertainment is up next. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching First Local. With 7 highways cutting through the region of Peel, we spend a lot of time behind the wheel. First Local's Kay Lane checks out the latest and the greatest wheels at the auto show.
Stats show overall people who live in the suburbs are in worse shape than their city cousins. The study blames the amount of time we spend in our vehicles. So we're at the car show today, saying if we're going to have a heart attack, we might as well do it in grand style.
Now here's a car your mom would be proud that you got caught in the back seat in. A Vanden Plus. We have everything. We have our DVDs, our control center, and our own air conditioning, so it's always perfect back here. When you're ready to leave, this car definitely has some get up and go.
Can you say Hemi, boys and girls?
And for those of you who are thinking of the environment, I've got one for you. This is the Honda Insight. This baby only needs 3 liters of gasoline to get you 100 kilometers. In other words, for the price of dinner, it'll take you to Montreal.
The downside of this car is its sheer lack of pickup. Beware of this car on small ramps.
With 605 horses under the hood, this car is definitely one of the fastest at the show. However, it looks the best standing still.
However, for a cool $500,000, forget dropping anyone to the airport because it can only fit your purse. Speaking of tiny,
for those of you who think size doesn't matter, I have a little number for you. The biggest thing on this car is the sunroof, which could be removed completely.
I would hate to see a crash between the 4.2 and the H2. OPP Sergeant Cam Woolley shares his favorites.
Well, I think I like the new Land Rover. That looks like a really practical ride, and I think it's pretty neat, but it's just so hard to pick here. I think I need one for each day. Perhaps a Saturn Sky for Saturday, and maybe a Mercedes little smart car for down in the city, one of the hybrid pickups for doing some stuff at the lumberyard. There's just so many choices.
Mississauga's Ron Fellows says there's a time for comfort and a time for speed.
One with a DVD player, probably the one I've got now, which is an Escalade ESV. It's essentially the Chevy Suburban-sized Cadillac. It's got 2 screens for the kids.
Taking my job very seriously at the car show, I'm Kay Lane for First Local.
An historic part of Mississauga's culture is captured in the breathtaking mural, Indians on the Credit. This invaluable piece of art has now been restored for everyone to enjoy at the Mississauga Civic Center. Let's take a look.
Well, I guess I always had an interest in painting. When I traveled quite a lot, I always tried to buy a nice painting of the country I was visiting. And I have quite a number of paintings in my living room at home that I brought back from a foreign country. So I was interested in art. Well, it took about a year and a half, I think. I'm not sure when they finished. I know when they started, but I'm not sure. They were at it quite a while. It was a major job, as you know. I think it's just so they recognize that we have a past. I think it tells the story of Mississauga. The Credit River, in my mind, is the most valuable asset of Mississauga and of Peel County and the valley of the Credit River. And so this is a picture of the Credit Valley.
Stay with us. Local sports is up next. Back, you're watching First Local. In high school basketball, with the senior boys' regular season ending this week, everyone has been gearing up for the playoffs. Valentine's Day featured a big matchup of Tier 2 teams. Both Philip Pocock and Cawthra Park entered their game with 7-2 records, and both were hoping to enter the postseason on a winning note. Ryan Dunn reports.
Cawthra looking for a big game from the big man, Alex Trekiev, and Big T gets it low, and he hits the jumper off the backboard, and that's them up 6-4. Pocock responds, Patrick Pocek finds Luciano Baradas in the lane, and his jumper gets a friendly roll, Pocock up by 2. Later, Big T finds a streaking Andrew Doughton, who drives, hits the layup, 19-16 Cawthra. However, sloppy pass by Adrian Weyerbeck, it's picked off by Socek. He makes the easy bucket for Pocock, down by 1. Now we move ahead. Big T shows his jumper from outside. He's got game from the perimeter. He's got game inside. A little bit later, he misses a shot and he follows his own shot, gets the board, draws the foul, but also finishes. Very nice. Later on, Captain Peter Kramik hits a jumper to knot it at 29. Then Cawthra continues its dominance of the glass. Mike Carafol does the honors, gets the boards, and gets the deuce. Just over a minute to play, Cawthra up by 1. Socek hits a long 2 to take it and also to have a lead there by 1. But Cawthra, not to be outdone, works the ball outside to TJ Jordash, who buries the clutch tray to put Cawthra up by 2. And then Cawthra's swarming defense doesn't allow a shot from Pocock, and they pull this one out 39-37. Tretiak had a game-high 12, and you think they're happy in Cawthra land? Yes, they are.
Another big game this week in senior boys basketball pitted the Brampton Centennial Bucks against the Turner Fenton Trojans. Both teams entered the contest with 9 wins and only 1 loss, but the game turned out to be a lopsided contest.
Fenton in black, Centennial in yellow. This is Jonathan Henry. Stops, pops, hits the J. Yes, guy. Bucks answer right back. Nice little steal. Feed out to Javon Jones. And he finishes with the lay-in. But here comes Trojan Man. Conrad Blackwood steals. and he's going to go all the way, finishing with the raucous rim rocker. Centennial, though, answers again. Jeff for three. Bring it up from downtown Heart Lake. 17-9 Centennial after one. Second quarter, more Bucks. Javon Jones picks. It's like deja vu all over again. Another lay-in, but back come the Trojans. Some good interior passing is going to be finished off by Jonathan Henry. Bucks by 20 at recess. To the third quarter, Bucks take to the air. Mike McCoy for three. Ring it up from somewhere in Fletcher's Meadow. Not to be outdone, here comes Trojan Man. Blackwood, fly, slammer, jammer. Bucks led though by 19 after three. The fourth quarter, Centennial seals it. Give it back to Jones. Mr. Jones and me, gonna be a big star. Centennial wins and takes first place heading into the playoffs with a 73-53 victory.
In Tier 1 basketball from this week, St. Marguerite Duville squared off against Ascension. Both teams came in at 5-1. Neil Salinas brings us the highlights.
Ascension in yellow, Duville in blue. This is Jose Araujo. Three ball from the corner pocket, ring it up from downtown Snellgrove. More Duville, Brandon Sewell to Jamel Samuels. Duville goes up 16-4 early, and they keep on coming. Yanel Clayton finishes off the passing play. They led by 18 after one. Second quarter, Ascension fights back. Jamie Glasgow stop, pops, nails the J, but Ascension falls asleep on the other end. Samuels left alone underneath. It's 47-25 Duville at recess. Third quarter, Ascension chips away. Glasgow again will take the pass. And yes, Smokes, that's another jumper. But Araujo responds, taking the pass and nailing it off the glass. 63-44 Duville after three quarters. Fourth quarter, Ascension, they do not let up. Rayon Wilson pops in another deuce as he takes the pass, but it's Duville's too much. Rodell Brenaway with a little panache to the game. Duville takes this contest 88-62.
And now here's a look at some of the final standings and playoff matchups in high school sports. That's it for the weekend edition of First Local. I'm Allison Ansley. For all of us here at Rogers Television, including more than 100 weekly volunteers who make First Local possible, thanks for watching.